Right, just a short video. NHS. The NHS, I'm afraid, is in a mess. And I think a couple of reasons are for. One, we have CEOs in charge of them. Two, we've closed too many hospitals in this country. And three, we don't know how to equip the hospitals. Now, I get a quote from my father. My father was on Black Watch in the war. He got shot up when he was going to Italy. He was taken to prison of war. And he was discharged from the army after the war because of his war wound. He worked in the railways for a wee while, and we had a houseboat in Cambria Island, which he inherited from one of his uncles. Then he got back into the army through the medical corps. He had been, a sergeant before he left, but he went down to the bottom again. And he worked his way up to be an officer. I spent many years in many countries as a child. But one of two things I remember about my father. One, he always felt hospitals should be run by matrons. He should run them very, very efficiently. And second, one of his jobs at one point was buying all medical equipment. I don't know what particular medical equipment it was. It must have been scalpels and things like that, and cutting machines, I don't know. But what he did say, he said he could get lots of equipment for a very cheap price. And the reason why, because he's not just buying for the army, he was buying for the Navy and the Air Force. And therefore, he had a bulk buy, and he could knock companies down for a lower price. I think the NHS needs to do that in Scotland. I think we need a central place that buys the equipment for all the hospitals. I think it would make things a bit cheaper in the hospitals. I also think CEOs have no real purpose in the hospital. That's almost like a private entity. Hospitals are run by matrons and senior doctors. Maybe there should be a nice committee occasionally. But definitely should be able to share equipment between one hospital and another. With respect to hospitals, I think I watched one in Montrose close. I watched one in Forfar close. More and more hospitals close makes it hard for the patients, like myself, who have to go almost 40 miles down to Dundee. And it costs quite a lot to go there. Can't even get a bus from Montrose to it, so we take a car. I met a lady the other week, and husband had to go to hospital, and said would she stay with him because he has Alzheimer's, and they couldn't help him, and he would have an operation. He did that, and after a week they said, "Oh, we're going to move you to another ward." So he moved to another ward, and the other ward said to her, "Oh, you can't stay. This is not a hotel. Go home. Go home." So she took a taxi, a long way for her. I don't know what the cost, probably at £40-50, I guess. Because that is some of the other problems. Yes, occasionally you need, in the patient's ward, someone for the families to stay. If you had more hospitals, this would be easier. But we have so little hospitals now in Scotland. Here, we need to increase the hospitals. I went across yesterday to Staccato. Very helpful, a lovely set of hospital. But again, this hospital doesn't have an emergency thing. So if it crashed on that main road between Dundee and Aberdeen, where have you got to take them? To Dundee or Aberdeen? I really feel Staccato should have some emergency facilities for a car crash, and there's been a few this last 3 weeks. There's even been a fire in the house. Lucky nobody was hurt in that one. But there's lots of things we can do with the NHS to improve it. And when I keep seeing nurses saying it's not working properly, and when I talk to doctors saying it's not working properly, we need to look at the situation. But the only way you do that is to get into government and get government to work together. So, I'm a person who likes to listen to other people. I will work in committees of other parties. And I think that is important in a policy in Scotland. The Labour Party, the Conservative Party, SNP, ALBA, and other parties, including the Liberals, need to be in a room not criticising each other, working together, going to see the hospital and see how it can be improved, not shouting at each other across the chamber as I watched last night in debating for Scotland. So, NHS is important to me. And yes, I don't want to see any privatising anyway. I don't want to see the hospital being used as private facilities. So some people, and I heard this, some people could do operations out into the hospital outside the hours, privately. Not well. That is our hospitals, not the private companies. We need to be careful how we work.